join my fiance and I October 30th at 6 p.m. as we count down to Halloween during our live drunk horror movie watch party. You know, I heard someone say recently that viewing violent material or overtly violent material allows people to become desensitized to this kind of stuff. And as someone who's seen literally every film on this list, who has ran the gauntlet, if you know what that means, and who's visited the Museum of Death in Hollywood multiple times, I'm going to be the first to say, it does not get any easier. A lot of this stuff is really violent and really makes me cringe in like the worst way possible. This is an unscripted video and I apologize if I ramble a lot during this video, but I don't have a script in front of me. All I have is some notes. But viewer, be warned. These films don't screw around. Do not seek these films out if you're not a fan of violence, animal cruelty, gutting, pulling out gore from people's intestines and stuff, and general gross stuff. There's just some gross stuff in these films. So you've already read the title. This is 30 films that I watched. They're shocking, they're controversial, and I'm gonna rank them. Let's start off with Anthropophagus 1980. This, along with many of the films on this list, is one of the infamous video nasties leading to its ban in the UK. So I might as well describe what a video nasty is first before going into this, because it's very important to the video, because a lot of these films were banned in the UK in the 80s. During the 1980s, the UK cracked down on a lot of films that were seen as overtly violent, obscene, or offensive, and were refused passage through the British Board of Film Classification, making the distribution of these films illegal in the country. This led to many of these films being heavily censored and some instances of prosecution, seizure, and destruction of videocassettes. So it was kind of like book burnings, but instead of Atlas Shrugged, they burned Texas Chainsaw Massacre. In 2002, Anthropophagus was finally released after being banned for 18 years, with heavy edits that cut out 8 minutes containing most of the gory scenes. The film was eventually released uncut in 2015 with an 18 certificate. According to the writer, only a few people were present during the film's premiere, and everyone left offended before it was over, leaving only him and the producer in the audience. Apparently, a man pulling a fetus out of a pregnant woman and eating it was too much for people at the time. Honestly, kind of too much for people now. The film has since gained a cult reputation due to its controversial status and is a notable mainstay for the escalation of gore in cinema. What did I think of it? Wasn't great. Wasn't very good at all. It didn't help that I was watching this film on one of those streaming sites. I can't remember what streaming service it was. It was one of the like the off-brand stuff. Like Post-Production NECA can put it right here. Avoid this streaming service at all costs. It was a horrible viewing experience. Every time an ad ran when I was watching it, it went back to like 10 minutes into the film, meaning every time an ad break happened, I had to skip ahead to where I was in the film. It was bad. It was really bad. It was already a bad movie to begin with, and that was just a bad experience. But since I don't have another film right now to compare it to, it's right there on like the first one, so just gonna stay there until this next one. Blood Feast 1963. So the director and producer wanted to create a new kind of film that no major studio would attempt to emulate, focusing on explicit scenes of gore. This resulted in the film being considered the very first of the splatter subgenre. The film's content was so graphic for the time that some newspapers refused to carry the film's ad. So this film came out during a period in where cinema, specifically horror films, tried to use gimmicks to get people back into movie theater seats. And this film in particular, in an effort to gain publicity, showing supplied theatergoers vomit bags that read, "You might need this." This was another film added to the video nasty list, effectively banning it in the UK until 2001, when it was released with 23 seconds of the film cut, until 2005, when it was finally passed uncut. Stephen King stated on Twitter that this was the worst horror film he's ever seen. And if that doesn't say anything about this film, I don't know what will. But honestly, it's not the worst horror movie I've ever seen. I actually would rank it above Anthropophagus, but it's not that great. It's pretty funny watching it nowadays. The plot is everywhere. It's a complete mess of a film, honestly. And the special effects maybe looked shocking at the time and everything, but nowadays it just looks really cheesy. Would I recommend it? No. Would I recommend a lot of these films? No. But maybe this next one. Blood-Sucking Freaks, 1976. The film is regarded as one of the most controversial films of all time, for some hilarious reasons. After the film was submitted to the Motion Picture Association of America, it was refused an R rating, with only 54 minutes of the film being approved. After making some cuts, the film was passed for theatrical release, but they shipped the unrated print, telling theaters it was the rated R cut. So the MPAA sued Troma Entertainment and forced them to issue a public apology. The MPAA has refused to review this film to this day. Also, during its US theatrical run, the film was a frequent subject of protests by the radical feminist group Women Against Pornography for kind of like easy to see reasons. This is a film about human trafficking, hypnosis, cannibalism, and all sorts of different screwed up things, all under the umbrella of Troma. And if you don't know what Troma is, Troma Entertainment, they're an amazing company and you should definitely check out a lot of their works. While I do enjoy this, I wouldn't say this is like the best Troma film ever. It was really entertaining and I did love it. But Troma's back catalog has like so many other films and I probably shouldn't like be comparing it to Troma's other works. I mean, I could have put like a lot of Troma movies on this list, honestly, but I liked it. So it's gonna go at the top of the list once again. Each of these films are topping the previous on this list. Can this next one possibly top this one? Nope. Cannibal Holocaust, 1980. Probably one that you expected to see on this list because it's pretty infamous. The film is perhaps the most notorious on this list due to its intense graphic violence and slew of controversy. Some of the cast had signed contracts that required them to disappear from the public eye for a year for the sake of publicity. But 10 years before it was set to release, the film was seized by the Italian courts and the director was arrested and charged with obscenity and murder, believing he actually killed some of the cast. It wasn't until the actors physically showed up in court that the charges were dropped. The film was banned in several countries, including its native country of Italy for 3 years, and placing it on the list of UK's video nasties. The director has since stated that he regrets everything about the film, especially the animal deaths, which are really hard to watch, and it's like the main reason why I did not like doing this video. A lot of these films end up having actual animal deaths, and that's not cool. It's just not cool. As a filmmaker myself, like I would never depict such cruelty on screen. Even if I do make a horror film, showing actual deaths of any kind of creature is just despicable, in my view. The film is regarded as one of the most infamous films ever made and a staple of the cannibal subgenre. It also influenced filmmaker Eli Roth, who would go on to make The Green Inferno in 2013, paying homage to the film. And what do I think about this film? Despite the animal cruelty, honestly, pretty decent film. I did love how it was presented as like people finding this footage and like showing it to like these producers to actually like get it out there and everything. I love the presentation. Like first and foremost, I think like that's my favorite aspect of the film. Also, a lot of like the violent scenes were like pretty unique-ish. I mean, there's a lot of slasher films that do like kind of the same things, but some of them just like hit hard in the heart. And in the private parts, if you know what I mean. Honestly, I don't know if I want to rank it higher than Blood-Sucking Freaks or not. I did really love Blood-Sucking Freaks, but yeah, I'm going to put it right below Blood-Sucking Freaks, but obviously higher than Blood Feast because I'm never gonna watch that shit again. Dawn of the Dead, 1978, the original, the classic, the great film that where zombies look kind of blue on screen. The film was given an X rating by the MPAA, seized in the UK as a video nasty, and faced heavy cuts and censorship across various nations. The film did originally pass for theaters and video in the UK after heavy cuts, only to finally release uncut in 2003. Despite all of this, the film was a major success and has since been regarded as one of the greatest horror films ever made. The film was remade in 2004 as Zack Snyder's feature directorial debut. Kind of an interesting piece of information if you're like a huge Zack Snyder fan. I don't know why you would be, honestly. So I was like a little bit like on the fence whether I should include this film or not, since like by today's standards, like this film is not controversial at all. It's actually a very fascinating film. I do really love this film. I think it's the best of the Dead series from the director. But yeah, this is like my favorite, or probably one of my favorite George Romero films. I do really love the original Night of the Living Dead. That just made a legacy out of his career, and like he's like known as the zombie guy now because of that. And Dawn of the Dead was even like huger. It like inspired a bunch of other things. Another video that I did earlier this month was the School Live review, and this is the movie that inspired that anime, and it's one of my favorite animes of all time. So without this film, that anime wouldn't exist, and I love it for that reason. But as I mentioned earlier, with the zombies, they look a little blue. Apparently, I didn't write this in my notes, but apparently the filmmaker's previous experience with Night of the Living Dead being a black and white feature, they did the same kind of makeup for the zombies in this film. They used like a gray face paint, but they ended up looking blue, which looks a little ridiculous to nowadays and everything, but I guess it's like still a little creepy, you know, seeing like someone with like an obscure skin color. Not obscure, but odd. I guess that's a better word to describe it. But man, where would it go on this list? Honestly, I have to put it on top. I have to put it on the top of the list. Currently, it's just such a good film. Like, I love it, even though it's like an extensive runtime. I think it's about 2.5 hours. Like for a horror film from the 70s, that's kind of like a slog, but it really doesn't feel like that when you're watching it. I guess some of the scenes are like a little bit like goofy because they got this like kind of like mall music going on while like they're like shooting like these zombies or like killing the zombies or anything. And they look like they're having a fun time killing the zombies. I think I'm talking about this movie way too long. I should just skip on to the next one, which is another kind of goofy movie. Entrails of a Virgin, 1986. I can't believe it's not a porno. At least I would say that. This film is listed, the genre is of Euro something? What was it called? I really should have wrote this down. Splatter Arrows subgenre. Pink film. Horror, sci-fi. Yeah, nothing's saying it's porn, but if you watch it, like, you would ask yourself, did I just put on a job? Yeah, so the film is considered a pink film, which is a Japanese film that focuses on explicit nudity and sexual content in the splatter subgenre. The film gained notoriety among the low-quality VHS black market that Americans traded in the 80s. Other than that, I couldn't really find any other like controversial things about this film. Maybe because it's not very well known, it doesn't have a lot of controversy about it. But if you show this to like your average like Christian or something, they're gonna like be up in arms about this film. The film showcases constant nudity and sex. Everyone in this film gets laid. Every single character, even the monster in the film, gets laid multiple times. And they're very explicit with it too. I think like someone was actually penetrated on screen, but you can't really see that because of Japanese censorship. So like everything's like kind of blurred down there, so you can't actually see that. But besides that, this film is kind of hilarious. It feels like just like an anime, like a live action anime. It's very cartoony. It's like the first kill in the movie, and I'm sorry if I'm spoiling this a little bit, but I don't know if anyone's going to look up Entrails of a Virgin. I mean, it was kind of hard for me to find anyways. The first kill of the movie has like the killer bash a dude's head in with a hammer and his eyes pop out. Literally like a cartoon character. There's another scene where a woman, like she's like possessed or something, and she craves the sex. So like the murderer chops off a dude's arm and the lady finds it and pleasures herself with the severed arm. It's kind of a sight to behold, honestly. But in terms of the fated list on the ranking systems, I'd probably put it right below Bloodsucking Freaks because I just found Bloodsucking Freaks a little more entertaining, but it is still like a highly entertaining film. If you do have the guts to watch Entrails of a Virgin, or also its alternative title, Guts of a Virgin, I believe, you're kind of in for like a wild ride. It's only like an hour long. You could probably find it. Anyways, moving on. Evil Speak, 1981. So this film was released at the height of satanic panic, which was an era where satanic ritual abuse was at the forefront of American concern. Everyone was pointing blames at literally every piece of media that depicted some kind of like satanic or witchcraft kind of stuff in it. Even Dungeons and Dragons for some reason, and that's kind of wild to think about since like Dungeons & Dragons like huge because of like Stranger Things nowadays, you know? Even one of the film's producers, who was a devout Christian, worried that the subject matter would be taken seriously. It received immediate controversy for its gory climax and themes of Satanism, leading to its ban in the UK until its uncut re-release in 2004. Although the founder and high priest of the Church of Satan was unsurprisingly a huge fan of the film and regarded it as very satanic. So I guess that's a good publicity thing for your film about Satanism. And I don't know how his taste in movies are, but I didn't really find it the best film in my opinion. It's not even like the best film that like depicted anything satanic, honestly. So about a dude who literally summons Satan, or maybe not even Satan, like one of Satan's disciples or like a demon or something, through his computer. It's definitely a ridiculous concept. It's a ridiculous film to begin with. It's pretty mediocre when it comes to films. It feels very 80s, like super 80s. So if you love like 80s nostalgia, like other than that, there's not a lot going for this film. There's one scene where a lady is taking a shower and she's all in the nude and everything, and then a bunch of pigs come in and eat her alive. I don't know if that's enough to sell this on the film. Oh, there's this other part where the main character, he's just like this like teenage dude, and he picks up like a full size like 30-year-old adult. He lifts him up effortlessly and like sticks him onto like a spiky chandelier. The stupidest kill in the movie, but it made me laugh, so I guess it gets a little bit of points. As for where it goes on the list, I'd probably put it right above Blood Feast. I can't like put it any higher than that, honestly. Oh, but this next one is so good and so bad at the same time. Faces of Death, 1978. So this film showcases actual depictions of death in a documentary filmmaking style. Although some of the scenes were faked, about 60% of the film consists of genuine footage of accidents, autopsies, and animal killings, of course, among other real deaths and their aftermath. The film was banned and censored in many countries due to its graphic content, and is another film added to the Video Nasties list, remaining banned in the UK until 2003, where over 2 minutes of animal cruelty remain cut. Which, by the way, UK, you're fine, you're missing that part out. It doesn't add any substance to the film, honestly. There were a few legal cases related to the film. One where a teacher showed his high school students the film and allegedly traumatized 2 of them. The family sued the school district and the teacher was suspended for 15 days without pay. Then there was another instance where a student beat his classmate to death with a baseball bat after watching the film. He was sentenced to life in prison, but gained parole in 2024. I honestly don't know what part of the film would lead someone to do something like that. That's kind of screwed up, and honestly probably like placing the blame on a piece of media, kind of like how like the Columbine shooters, people blame like Marilyn Manson and Doom and video games and everything like violent getting blamed except for the actual perpetrator. Like, I've seen all these lists. I've seen Face of Death actually many times before, because they play it on loop at the Museum of Death. And I've never thought about killing anyone, like, especially with a baseball bat. I don't think there's a single baseball bat in the film. I don't remember. Aside from the animal cruelty, this film is fantastic. And honestly, with the animal cruelty intact, I said earlier that it doesn't really add much to it. The actual graphic violence of the animals being dead and stuff, or mutilated in the various ways. You don't need to like watch that. You can like keep your eyes shut during those moments, honestly. I watched them with my eyes fully open because honestly I needed to traumatize myself for this video. But like every part of the film like is really great, and it's like documentary filmmaking style, and I actually really love like the message, like especially at the end. I can't say the same for like the following Faces of Death films. I know I've seen like the first 4, I think. And I think 5 and 6 were like unrelated to the Faces of Death series. But a lot of the ones that like are used later on utilize the same footage, so there's not a lot going on for like the sequels, but the original is still like probably one of my favorite documentary of the 1970s, because I'm not really watching a lot of documentaries from the 1970s. A lot of them might be really outdated, but I think Faces of Death is great. And it's like, honestly, like, I do this is one of the few films that I would recommend on this film to like go check out, or on this list rather, to go check out. And as for the list, oh my god, where do I put it? It's gotta be high on the list, so definitely above Bloodsucking Freaks, but I don't know if I want to put it above or below Dawn of the Dead. I have to put it below, honestly. Dawn of the Dead is like a fantastic film and has like meant so much for like, especially like the zombie horror film community. Oh, but speaking of Faces of Death, I heard that they're doing a remake of the film. I don't know if it's like a remake, and it must be like a remake in like title alone, right? How do you remake a film like this? I don't know. Oh no, not this next one. Guinea Pig 2, Flowers of Flesh and Blood, 1985. So this is the sequel of a series of movies, films, videos, whatever you want to call them. They all are very violent. I've seen the first 4 again, but this one in particular has like the most controversy, so I decided on just tackling the sequel because the controversy is kind of humorous. In Japan, it allegedly influenced a real serial killer who abducted and murdered 4 young girls. The film was found among his videotape collection, and the killer himself admitted he was inspired and even reenacted scenes from the film. Although this is thought to be widespread misinformation, the film was withdrawn from the market and cited as an example of the needed restraint of violence in Japanese entertainment. Okay, now here's the funny part. Here's where it gets funny. So actor Charlie Sheen got his hands on a copy of the film and watched it. Somehow, I don't know how he ended up with it, but he was convinced that it was an actual snuff film. And if you don't know what a snuff film is, it's not necessarily a film that's just basically about like violence and torture. Like if it's fictional, it's not necessarily a snuff film. A real snuff film has an actual recording of a death, and it's utilized for the purpose, or it was shot with the purpose of making profit. People say that like snuff films aren't real things, but apparently there was a recent reporting of a genuine snuff film going around the dark web. I didn't really like look too much into it because honestly I'm not down to watch something like that. I can watch like fictional stuff like the majority of this list, but like when it comes to like real stuff, that's just different. I don't know if I want to see that. So when Charlie Sheen mistook this film for an actual snuff film, he then reported the film to the FBI, who launched an actual investigation on the film's origin. You can't make stuff up like this. This is seriously like one of the funniest things I've found like researching these things. Because of these controversies, the film has since been referred to as a modern day urban legend. What do I think about the film? It's pretty silly sometimes, like the killer going up to the camera and saying like, oh, just wait until this next part. Like the serial killer depicted in this film, he's like kidnapping women, just like the dude who like allegedly was inspired by this film. He'd kidnap women and like dissect them, and the entire time he's like talking to the audience what he's about to do and his like twisted interpretation of what that's supposed to mean. Honestly, don't really blame Charlie Sheen too harshly for like thinking that this was a genuine snuff film. It's like it's very low quality, but like there's some like genuine like filmmaking attempts in the film, and to that I honestly commend the film. The film itself is not super disturbing, especially if you've seen the majority of the films on this list, but except for the end when he like shows you his like secret stash of all the body parts he's been collecting and stuff. Like some of the effects on that were really well done and look really grotesque and kind of unsettling, especially with this this Japanese man is like reciting this hymn the entire time, and that's like the only music that's playing, and he's has this like very like scary voice like doing it. Other than that, it's not the greatest film ever. Definitely wouldn't recommend watching it, or I wouldn't recommend watching it for myself again. But it wasn't the worst film on this list, and definitely not one of the worst films I've already talked about. So I'm going to put it somewhere, I think, above Blood Feast. Yeah, between Evil Speak and Blood Feast, I feel. Because I feel like Evil Speak had like it felt like a film, you know? It felt like a film, where this one doesn't really feel like a film. Haxon, 1922. Oh my god. Film over 100 years old. How controversial could it be? Actually, it's surprising how like kind of controversial it was. So the director originally planned to have some historical experts involved in the making of the film. However, most of these experts he had in mind were against the film's production entirely and obviously denied their participation. The film saw numerous cuts in Sweden before it was authorized for release, which included graphic content and anti-religious themes. These scenes have since been restored over the years. But upon its release, it was immediately banned in the US of all places for 7 years due to graphic depictions of torture, nudity, and because its themes of witchcraft and Satanism, which were perceived as anti-clerical at the time. This is the only film on this list that was banned in the US. There's not a lot of like banned pieces of media in the US to begin with. Most of the ones that are banned are not because of violent reasons, and the ones that are banned still remain banned for like obvious reasons of racial depictions being extremely questionable and not good. Not what companies want to show their characters doing either. It's talking to you about you, Bugs Bunny. So I think this is the only like real horror film that was ever banned in the United States. And obviously it was only banned for 7 years, so it didn't last long. By 1930, it was already out to US for anyone who cared to watch it. And honestly, I would recommend those people in 1930s to check it out because it's a really good movie. The film has since been regarded as a masterpiece of its time and is regarded as a personal favorite of Guillermo del Toro. So obviously this is a great film. It's not necessarily a film per se, it's more of a documentary with some dramatizations, but it did give like a really good look into showing that like witchcraft perhaps maybe wasn't what was going on back when witches were the thing. Perhaps it was due to mental illness, which is what a lot of people like speculate was the reasoning for those things during those times. But I really like this film, and I've talked about like films from the 1920s or the silent era to begin with. Like I love Dr. Caligari, The Phantom Carriage, Nosferatu, Phantom of the Opera, The Golem, Hunchback of Notre Dame. There's a lot of films of the silent era, a lot of horror films in the silent era that were really fantastic, but this is honestly up there with like now one of my favorites, honestly, because it just feels so genuine in like the story it's trying to tell and everything. And I was like blown away by how much I really like this film. I'm gonna put it right below Faces of Death, which is another documentary. I'm just gonna put the two documentaries next to each other. Hostel, 2005. Finally something a little more contemporary regarding like this list. The director made the film with the intention of receiving an NC-17 rating, then cutting scenes out for an R rating later. However, the MPAA gave the film an R rating outright, so all the violent scenes remained intact. Upon release, there were many complaints from Slovakia and the Czech Republic, with people, including officials, outraged by the film's representation of their countries. They thought that the film would make foreigners feel that it was a dangerous place to visit. In his defense of the film, director Eli Roth stated, "Americans do not even know that this country exists." Which is the most based answer I've ever heard a director give in defense of his film. The director did have to issue an apology to the Icelandic Minister of Culture for the damages the film may have caused to Iceland's reputation. And my feelings about the film? Pretty decent. I remember watching this when I was way too young to be watching this, honestly. When it first came out, I was like not even 10. I was a single-digit individual watching this film. Honestly, it's like an alright film, you know. I would recommend like watching it like again. It was really worth a rewatch for this list. As I obviously didn't understand a lot of things that were going on in the film when I originally watched it. And now being old as I am, the ripe old age of legal, it was pretty decent, you know, halfway decent, kind of decent. It was alright. I'll put it above Bloodsucking Freaks. I don't really have much to say about this film. Yeah, let's just move on. The House by the Cemetery, 1981. Before the film was released, the Italian ratings board called for a mere 6 seconds of the film to be cut. And the director happily obliged, just because he was dissatisfied with the effects in that scene. This was another film on the Video Nasties list. It was released several times in the UK with various amounts of cuts, but it wasn't until 2009 that the film was finally released uncut for the first time in the country. This film's kind of weird. It's not that great. It's not one that I would recommend anyone watch. Not because it's like overtly violent or whatever. The violence is like basic for 80s slasher, an Italian 80s slasher, but the plot is kind of hard to follow at times. Like it has like this weird kind of experimental feel to it, kind of like an artistic kind of like feeling to it, and I'm not very privy to art house horror films because they can be very slow paced at times. And this film kind of has that problem. There's not a lot to say about this film, honestly. While it was interesting for like some of the controversy and like it kind of had like a cool name to it, I think it was inspired loosely on some of Lovecraft's works. I'd probably put this right above Blood Feast. The Human Centipede, 2009. If you haven't heard about this film, you're living under a rock. You must be. Everyone and their mothers have heard about the Human Centipede. This is the first sequence of 3 films that made a movie centipede. While casting the film, the director showed actresses a diagram of the Human Centipede, leading to most of the actresses completely walking out immediately. People even walked out on initial test screenings due to certain scenes and its controversial subject matter. While promotion of the film claimed to be 100% medically accurate, this is often contested as a surgeon was only contracted to create the initial diagram of the Human Centipede. Many news outlets and film critics were disturbed by the film, calling it one of the most horrific films ever made. They say that about most of the films on this list. I'm just telling you that right now. And that it would likely spark outrage. Not really outrage, sparked more disgust and intrigue, I think. The film reportedly had strong reactions from audience members, including instances of people vomiting in aisles. However, Spanish audiences found the film to be funny, laughing throughout screenings, according to the director. The director loved the Spanish audiences, apparently. All the buzz surrounding the film led to it being very successful, winning several accolades and spawning 2 more films. And I watched it for the first time for this list, and honestly, it's okay. I wasn't disturbed or shocked by it, having already been spoiled by the majority of the plot and seeing like all the nasty scenes from the beginning. I guess I didn't really know the ending, which if you haven't checked it out already, I'm not going to spoil it, don't worry. It's not like you're missing out on much, honestly. It's a fine film. It's just a weird horror film with a ridiculous premise, honestly. I'll put it right above Evil Speak. I think there's still some merit in like its intrigue, honestly, but it's not something I'd ever come back to be honest. But I think it's a necessary film to watch if you are a horror fanatic as I am. I Spit on Your Grave, 1978. Some crew members quit the film entirely during its production due to the extreme sexual violence. The MPAA rejected the film several times while never specifying what segments should be trimmed, but then the film finally passed after all references to forced sodomy were cut. The film's significant controversy led to its addition to the UK's video nasty list, and while it was never given a theatrical release in the country, video distribution was eventually banned and subsequently re-released several times with various amounts of cuts. In other countries, the film was immediately banned, claiming it glorified violence against women. Even popular film critic Roger Ebert called the film a vile bag of garbage. The film remains highly controversial to this day, with some considering it one of the worst films ever made. Others, however, regard it as a cult classic, and it was even remade in 2010. And I am of one of those people who do regard it as a cult classic. I don't think that it glorifies violence against women. I feel like the revenge aspect is very well done in this film. All I can say about it is it's just a classic. If you haven't seen it, or you haven't seen the remake, I probably would recommend this film if you are against the R word depicted in films. Definitely want to avoid this. While this film doesn't depict it the most, it depicts it a lot. I'll put this film right below Cannibal Holocaust just because I love Cannibal Holocaust presentation a lot. Island of Death, 1976. This film is considered one of the most banned films in the world and remains banned in several countries to this day. The budget on this film was so low that the director replaced an actor who was originally cast after the actor just asked for what is the equivalent of $80 today for his role. Another film on the video nasty list, it passed for cinema after cuts were made, but refused for video release in 1987, eventually releasing uncut in the UK in 2010. This film is a lot like Anthropophagus in being kind of really bad. With a lot of these films that are very much akin to exploiting as much grotesque stuff as possible, the film does it in strides. However, does it not that good, very bad. It's pretty amateurish, honestly. You can definitely tell why, considering that this film had such a low budget. I don't know exactly what the number is, but it was very low. I think I'm gonna just put it above Anthropophagus. I don't know. They're both really bad films. But spoilers, they aren't the worst on this list, and I will get to those later. The Last House on the Left, 1972. Another original that saw a remake later on. The film was cut and submitted to the MPAA multiple times to eventually net an R rating. Yet another video nasty, UK refused to classify this film and banned video distribution until 2002. Audiences who went to screenings reportedly vomited, fainted, and in one instance, an audience member had a heart attack. I don't know if that's accurate or not. Maybe a lot of this stuff is probably not incredibly accurate. I mean, a lot of horror films such as these, very exploitive horror films, utilize controversy as their gimmicks to get people into screenings. People actually demanded projectionists to destroy the film, going out of their way to steal the prints themselves. Projectionists would cut the film as well, leading to different cuts of the film being shown at different cinemas. The film was cut so much across the world that there are scenes completely missing on the film to this day. Despite the strong negativity received at the time, the film has since received cult notoriety, launching director Wes Craven's career and being remade in 2009. It's kind of funny that Wes Craven went from this immediately followed by The Hills Have Eyes right after, which tackled the same subject matter. That's kind of just what he was known for before he made Nightmare on Elm Street, I guess. I'm just gonna put it on the list right now, right above I Spit on Your Grave. They're very similar films in their subject matter being in the same genre, which I can't say publicly, but one Google search will tell you what it is. It is really unfortunate that this film has a few scenes that are missing. So even the version that I saw was an incomplete version, but it's the most intact version that exists to this day. But oh my god, like the main actress in this film, like, sold me on this film. It's a great performance. Like, all the performances in this film like ended up being like weirdly good for like the budget and the time it was made, and being from a director who's done nothing before. It's a really good movie. Like, with I Spit on Your Grave, if you aren't privy to that kind of content, you probably shouldn't watch it. But if you don't mind 30 minutes of that stuff going on, maybe check it out. Make Them Die Slowly, 1981. I think it's more known as Cannibal Ferox though. And of course, when you have cannibal in the title of anything, you're going to expect animal cruelty. So if that's not your cup of tea, just skip this one outright. During the filming of the pig scene, the lead actor refused to kill the pig, making another actor do the deed. For the blood splatter shot, the lead actor stabbed a bowl full of blood held by his double. But the knife went through the bowl and badly cut his hand, nearly slicing it off. While the film was seen as hugely successful, most cinemas shunned the film and refused to screen it, leading to showings at only about 100 theaters. The movie was banned in several countries, including the UK during the Video Nasty Scare. While it still claims to be banned in 31 countries, some of these countries have since lifted their ban. The film was re-released in the UK in 2018 with nearly 2 minutes of animal cruelty remaining cut, which good for UK. The leading actor even regrets his appearance in the film, calling it fascist, racist, and cruel. And not that great, in my opinion. It's very derivative of a lot of other like cannibal movies, like especially Cannibal Holocaust. Like, if you watch this immediately following Cannibal Holocaust, like, it's almost like the same movie but worse. So I honestly can't recommend this movie. There's not a lot of good going on in it, in my personal opinion, and the animal cruelty is just too much. I think there's more animal cruelty in this one than even Cannibal Holocaust. I'm gonna put it right above The House by the Cemetery just because at the very least it was memorable, unlike that other movie. But below Guinea Pig 2 Flowers of Flesh and Blood because it don't have Charlie Sheen reporting it to the FBI. Maniac 1980. Why did I write so much for this movie? The filmmakers didn't have the necessary permits to film in New York, so they shot it guerrilla style, fleeing scenes after they were complete before the cops could arrive. The film was never submitted for a rating by the MPAA, as the filmmakers knew that it would receive an X rating, which at the time, X ratings to a lot of theaters meant that it was most likely pornographic, so they just refused to show those kind of movies. But in this instance, it was just X-rated for its hyper-violence. Part of the campaign to promote the film in New York, the distributors set up mini-screen kiosks in front of theaters that showed scenes that included uncut footage of gory murders. This led to immense backlash against the film's violence, so the plans to erect kiosks in other major markets, I think Colorado and California obviously, those were canceled. The film's ultra-violence caused many moviegoers to walk straight out of showings. The special effects artist Tom Savini said that he might have gone a little too far with the gore. While never classified as a video nasty, the film was still refused classification by the BBFC, banned from cinema in the UK, and seized from video distribution, likely due to its reputation overseas. It eventually released uncut in the country in 2022. Despite receiving unfavorable reviews at the time of its release, the film is now regarded as one of the greatest slasher films ever made, and was even remade in 2012. And honestly, I really like this film. Not a lot of people, I never hear a lot of people talking about Maniac when they talk about like old school slasher films. Like everyone's talking about like Halloween and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I never really hear anyone talk about Maniac, maybe because it didn't really have a successful like movie series following it. But it's honestly pretty decent for in terms of like slasher films for the time period. Obviously, when you get someone like Tom Savini doing the effects art, you're in for like a real gory good time. I think I will put this right below Haxan, and that does not diminish the film at all. Like, I think most people would like Maniac better than Haxan or Faces of Death, but this is my list, all right? You can make your own list in the comments. Oh no, not this next one. Oh my God, can I skip this one? No, I gotta talk about this. Oh my God, get ready. Melancholy Der Engel, 2009. Honestly, out of all the films on this list, this was probably the worst. Not in terms of like content, like it wasn't like a bad film or anything. I mean, it was a kind of a bad film, but like it's the most effed up. This is a straight up screwed up movie. A lot of the disturbing aspects of the film were real, including actors cutting and relieving themselves, sex and nudity, as well as the intense animal cruelty. Some of the actors were apparently abusing drugs during the film, leading to violent outbursts that were sometimes utilized as method acting. It really redefined what it meant to be method acting. Should I cut that out? Some of the more extreme scenes in the film required the director to manipulate the actors. He and his co-writer, though, had a falling out and ended their professional partnership due to the co-writer removing over half an hour of extreme content out of fear of legal prosecution. He inevitably used a pseudonym to distance himself from the project. The director later reflected that the filming was a horrible time for everyone involved, and he never wanted to do anything like it again. Upon release, the director received several death threats by viewers who were disturbed. Some of the cast even refused to watch the film after its release. The film has been deemed now as one of the most controversial films of all time, with many critics condemning it for its hardcore exploitation, meaningless depravity, and nihilistic message. The film has garnered a cult following, though, within the extreme cinema community. Good for those people in the extreme cinema community. I personally am not of that community and would never watch this film again. Like, I don't recommend this film to anyone. This film is actually horrible. There is intense graphic animal cruelty, like people are cutting themselves, people are relieving themselves. Like, you see like a husky male, I guess I could call him that, a husky male, completely naked the majority of the film and relieving himself on camera. Like, it's actually him doing that. And there's people like doing the, you know what that is, on camera and climaxing. There's a lot of stuff that you don't want to see, man. And like, this film just shows it to you with like extreme close-ups and stuff. In regards to the animal cruelty, it's abundant. There's obviously like a lot of like roadkill and stuff in it, like animals that are already dead, but there's actually like on-screen mutilation of animals. There's a really controversial, probably the most controversial scene in the film where a man Luca Magnotta's, to put it lightly, if you understand what that means. And that scene in particular, it's often debated whether or not that was actually real or just faked. And I don't think the filmmakers have ever really stated if it was or not. I mean, a lot of people who worked on that film are pretty silent about its making of and everything because they just kind of want to forget that it even exists, honestly. And I don't blame them for that. Kind of blame him for making this though. On top of all of this, it's also a 2.5 hour German horror art house film. It's just a slog to get through, man. Like, the first 30 minutes at least, or the first half the movie, I think, basically nothing happens. And then when things start happening, Jesus Christ, they don't stop. And it sucks to watch. Oh my god, so where am I gonna put this on this list? I have no idea. I don't even want to freaking put it on the list, dude. I don't want to think about this movie anymore. I guess I'll put it right below Guinea Pig 2, Flowers of Flesh and Blood, just because the rest of the films are like pretty mediocre and bad too, or otherwise forgettable, honestly. And there is still some artistic merit to like be derived from this film, but oh my god, it was such a hard film to watch, guys. Don't look this one up. Murder Set Pieces, 2004. So one particular actress, I'm not even gonna pronounce her name, made a cameo in the film without knowing much about the film. But once word got out of the film's true intent, she asked the director to cut her scene out, which he outright refused. In order to avoid the NC-17 rating and pass with an R, 23 whole minutes had to be edited and cut, which no other film in history has ever had to do. The director was extremely disappointed in this version of the film, claiming it made the film almost entirely incomprehensible. The BBFC refused certification of the film, leading to the DVD being banned from distribution in the UK, where it remains illegal to sell in the country to this day. So what's so controversial about this film? It's pretty controversial, I would say. It's about like a neo-Nazi dude who was triggered by the events of 9/11 and goes on a killing spree. And this includes like violence against underage girls. I can't remember what their ages were. I think they were 13-year-olds. So yeah, I understand why the controversy is there and everything. It doesn't go too deep on these details though. It's not like the most violent thing I've ever seen. Definitely on this list. And how was it? Fine, I guess. I don't know, man. It wasn't that great, honestly. With a lot of these films on this list, I am having trouble like really putting into words like why I think the way I think about these films, because they're very like, it's exploitation. You know what to expect out of the films. There's not much else to say about them. I'm probably gonna put it below Evil Speak just because Evil Speak at least was entertaining in some twisted way. Ooh, this next one. Oh man, Necromantic, 1988. Why hasn't anyone told me about this film before? When it comes to like infamous like banned films and everything, people say a Serbian film or a Cannibal Holocaust and stuff. I've never heard anyone talk about Necromantic. It should be on one of those films that people talk about when it comes to these kind of films. The film was made with no budget. So much of the gore in the film is actual animal intestines that the actors had to interact with. A scene where a character licks the eyeball of a corpse, that's a real pig's eyeball. The director made the film as a transgressive art piece with the intent to shock as many people as possible and to rebel against the German film rating system. And whoop, his intent worked, as the film defied all censorship standards of West Germany at the time, leading to the country to ban the release of many other films of the horror genre with similar subject matters or their removal of violent scenes. The film was also outright banned in several countries across the world, remaining a widely controversial and still banned film to this day. And I could freaking see why, dude. Not only are they using like actual animal intestines and like getting really close to them, this is a film obviously about doing the deed with corpses. So the film is disgusting. It's really disturbing. It shoots a lot of the like actual like corpse scenes when the main characters like actually interact with like the corpse. They shoot it like it's a romantic film, which is kind of funny. But there's like some animal cruelty, like there's an actual depiction of a rabbit being skinned, and that's really messed up. The first scene where they have the deed with the corpse and it's interspliced with the rabbit being skinned. That scene got to me, honestly. It was one of the most shocking things I've ever seen. And I kind of commend the filmmakers for making something so transgressive, so shocking and disturbing. And like, it was the intent to begin with. So like, I commend the filmmakers at that very instance. So I do like this film. I will never watch it again though. And I wouldn't actually recommend this film to anyone either. As good as this film is, as much as I like it, honestly, and it's kind of morbid for me to like something like this, honestly, but it's fascinating in a way seeing this film, seeing in its like things that it does. It's disturbing, yet it's a train wreck that you can look away from. That makes me want to put Necromantic kind of high on this list. I might even put it above Faces of Death. Should you watch it? No. Am I ever gonna watch it again? No. Did I like it? I kind of did. What? Nightmare 1981. Probably the most generic title in this whole list. I kind of forgot what this movie was. The film credited Tom Savini as the makeup effects artist, but he claimed he was only a consultant. He then threatened to sue the filmmakers for using his name to promote the film, leading to his name being removed in contemporary releases. The film saw immediate criticism and backlash upon release and was given an X rating by the MPAA. This was another film deemed a video nasty in the UK, banning it in the country until cuts were made. A judge ordered 212 video cassettes that were seized to be destroyed during raids throughout London and Leeds. 3 executives of the film's British distribution faced legal action for releasing the original banned cut, violating the BBFC's ruling. 1 executive received a fine of £250, while the other 2 were sentenced to 9 and 18 months of imprisonment. In 2015, it was finally released uncut in the country. And after all that criticism and everything, I kind of forgot what the movie was about. Oh, this movie. Yeah, this movie was stupid. So this film was re-released at some point as Nightmares in a Damaged Brain, which is probably a more recognizable title. I kind of like that title better than just Nightmare. I remember this film kind of being like all over the place. Not a lot of substance. The killings look very cheesy. It's just not a good movie, man. Like, man, I'm so tired, dude. I'm just gonna put on the list, man. Nightmare. I'll put it right in front of The House by the Cemetery because I think it wasn't as stupid as that one. A Serbian film, 2010. You guys probably know about this one. This is the first time I ever watched it. And man, am I never watching it again. The film was pulled from many film festivals throughout its initial circuit, being withdrawn from their schedules due to how disturbing it is. The film is notorious for its graphic violence and sexual content involving minors. And if that's not already a red flag, I don't know what is. Many filmgoers found one particular scene. You guys know what I'm talking about when I say one particular scene if you've seen the movie. They found this scene completely unbearable to watch, leading to mass walkouts during screenings. While the film is described as one of the most disturbing films of all time, it was only banned in 7 countries. A heavily cut version of the film was released in America with the intent of receiving an R rating, only for it still to be given an NC-17 rating by the MPAA. In Japan, it is one of the only 2 films ever to receive an R20+ rating in the country, which kind of makes me want to watch the other film. Like, what is the other infamous like R20+ film in Japan? I need to know. So the film in question is Grotesque from 2009. I have seen the film since recording this video, and yeah, pretty screwed up. I'm not gonna watch that one again. In response to the controversy, the director defended his artistic expression of the film and criticized some of the censorship it received. Bro has got to be cooked if like he thinks that this film is of any artistic importance, because there's certain subjects that are way too taboo for you just to leave alone, let sleeping dogs lie, and not make a film about it. Or if you are gonna make a film about it, don't show it. What are you doing, man? Oh my god, this movie, it got really uncomfortable, man. And like, other than that, it's not like crazy good either. Like, there's not a lot of horror that goes into it. I almost didn't put it on this list. Like, when I was watching it, it didn't really feel like a horror movie to me, you know? It's kind of like a artistic drama film, and then has like a really horrible scene at the end. But the film's like about a dude who wants to make an artistic porn. He recruits a previous film star to be in it, but then later it turns out this guy's making a snuff film. Oh no, not the first on this list. And I don't know if it's the last, honestly. I kind of already said like what I think about this film. It's not the best film ever. It's definitely nothing that I want to watch again. And it's definitely not something that I'm going to recommend anyone ever watch. But if you were morbidly curious like me, you can find it somewhere. May God have mercy on your soul after you watch it though. I think I'm going to put it right below the Human Centipede. And I have no explanation why I want to do that, but that's just how I'm feeling right now. Oh my god, now we're getting to some really bad territory. Okay, I'm already gonna spoil it. Sorry Vomit Dolls 2006 is going at the bottom of the list, and I will explain why later. Let's just get through these like little tidbits first. The director coined the subgenre vomit gore with this film, mixing the extreme gore of splatter films with constant depictions of characters throwing up. The film was panned by critics due to its obscene depictions of violence against women and just being gross. The director allegedly I'm sorry, this part just blows my mind, man. The director allegedly sexually abused his autistic sister during the film's production, leading to her taking her own life not long after the film released. That is just despicable of the director, and I can't believe he hasn't been like charged with something, or maybe he has and I didn't know. But aside from the controversy behind like the director and the making of, this film is just terrible. Not only because it's like really gross, it's about a bulimic prostitute who has visions of like all of her friends being murdered violently. So because she's bulimic, and I guess all the other characters in the film are also bulimic, everyone's like inducing vomiting the entire film. Like actual vomit is being spewed constantly. And this is only a 40-minute film, I think. This is like one of the shortest run times on this whole list. And it felt like an eternity because it's just people throwing up the entire time. Even if it didn't have that, this film would still be really bad in the editing department because, oh my god, they were trying to do something experimental with it. The movie's not told in like sequential order, like being told like hopping back and forth between like different scenes and everything. So you don't know what's going on in the movie. There's this constant filter on like the voices, and they're slowing down and speeding up voices. And like, I can't even describe like the insane amount of terrible editing throughout this film. As an editor myself, I was cringing the entire time. So it's unsurprising that Star Vomit Dolls goes at the very bottom of the list. It's at the very bottom. Snuff, 1976. So I was really excited about this film after learning the plot of it, and I was disappointed. The film marketed itself initially as an actual snuff film, and producers hired fake protesters to picket screenings of the film. While this was done as a publicity stunt to attract controversy, it led to genuine protesters accumulating to picket the film, sparked a media frenzy, and launched an actual investigation to see if the film depicted a real murder or not. Because of all of this, many citizen groups condemned the film before even seeing it. The Adult Film Association of America expelled the director from the organization to distance themselves from rumors that the sex industry was involved in the making of real snuff films. All adult movie theaters associated with the organization refused to show the film. The film was banned in the UK, being regarded as another video nasty. It eventually passed uncut in 2003, though no release date for the country was ever set, so I don't know if it's actually like in the UK, if you can actually find it anywhere. Not like you can go to a video store nowadays anyways. My cat heard me talking about Slaughter Vomit Dolls earlier and is now proceeding to throw up. Oh, there she goes. This is the kind of content that you get with Slaughter Vomit Dolls, by the way. Here's a brief sneak preview. While this film did like capture my attention for like being inspired by the events of the Charles Manson murders, it doesn't really do that great of a job at being a film or even depicting that to begin with. It does a decent job in like showing like a cult activity kind of thing, and I do like that aspect of it. However, the plot goes nowhere. It lands completely on its face by the end of it, and by the end of it, it completely cuts away to like a completely different thing. And that's supposed to be like the snuff part, you know? Like the filmmakers, the people were making a film about like the Charles Manson murders, and then it cuts away to like the filmmakers, and then they commit an actual like snuff film. It's weird, it's kind of stupid, it's hard to explain, honestly. Where does it go on the list though? I guess right below Murder Set Pieces, cause at least Murder Set Pieces, like, it looked good, whereas a low-budget film from the 70s isn't going to look that great. Also, really, I'm tired. Ooh, this next one! Suspiria 1977. So those of you who remember, like, years ago, one of my 5 recommended horror films that you should watch in October, I watched the remake of Suspiria, not knowing that there was an original version, not knowing it was a remake at all, and I really liked that film and wanted desperately to watch the original. And now I finally had the opportunity with this list, so I was really excited with this one. And I have to say, honestly, I love this one and its remake. Suspiria's really good. The director originally wanted to cast young girls older than 12 for the film, but was denied by the request of the producer, as at the time, films depicting violence involving children would have likely been banned. After completing the film, the director suffered from severe depression and even contemplated taking his own life. 20th Century Fox were the ones who acquired the rights to distribute the movie in America. However, due to its violent nature, they held it for a few months until releasing it under a shell company. They also cut out 8 minutes of the original film to secure an R rating. It was released in the UK with some cuts as well, eventually releasing uncut in the country in 1998. Despite this, the film was generally successful and later held as one of the most influential horror films of all time, spawning a remake in 2018 and having a huge impact on Japanese horror films to this day. And it is such a good movie, guys. I like out of all the films on this list, honestly, this is one of the ones I would highly recommend the most. The film is beautifully shot for its time. The story and plot and the characters are all so freaking good. It's a far cry different from the remake. I'm going to say that right now. The director of the remake said that you cannot remake this film, so it's more of an interpretation using the same general plot and the same name, obviously. So even though it was vastly different from Suspiria, like, it's still really good. Which one's better though? I don't know. Honestly, they're in a league of their own. I can't even compare the two. Like, oh, was the remake better? Was the original better? I love them both for different ways, for different reasons. But is it better than Dawn of the Dead? Okay, I actually had to pause the recording of this video just to think and kind of gestate on it. I can't for the life of me put Suspiria above Dawn of the Dead. Like, Dawn of the Dead has been one of the greatest zombie films, honestly, and one of the most like important too. As much as I really like Suspiria, I'm gonna put it right below Dawn of the Dead. Just for now, it's number 2 on this list. But guys, actually go watch it. It's not very like extremely graphic or anything. It's just well done, really well done. Terrifier 2, 2022. Wow, very contemporary film, and the most contemporary film on this list, honestly. I could have put the other 2 films on this list as well, like the first one or the third one, but this one I think had the most controversy that I could find, at least. While the film managed to avoid any major controversy, it still shocked audiences with its hyper-violence, leading to several reports of viewers vomiting and fainting during screenings, and one instance of emergency services being called. The film was a huge success, grossing over $15 million against a $250,000 budget. The third film in the series released in 2024, with a fourth movie on the way, solidifying film antagonist Art the Clown as a modern-day horror movie icon. And I really like this movie. I didn't watch like the first one initially, and then I heard like when the third one was coming out, I went back and watched like the first two, and I gotta say, like, I really appreciate like what the filmmakers are doing with these films. Obviously, like, I'm a fan of like the old splatter genre. I mean, I'm making this like whole like video based on a lot of splatter films and like a lot of gore and stuff. And seeing like a modern day horror icon being birthed by like these older kind of like techniques in like this filmmaking style in this genre, and having it become such a wide success in like not even like just like for like extreme horror fans, but like for casual viewers, casual horror movie viewers as well, like this film. And it's great because like it adds like humor and violence, and like it's got both in there in such an extreme way. And the third one being like a slasher Christmas movie, man, that is so much fun, man. I like the Terrifier series. I can't wait for the fourth one. Where I put this on this list though, it's gotta be high, but I don't know how high. I think I'm gonna put it right below Faces of Death. I love Terrifier 2, don't get me wrong, but Faces of Death like has like I've watched that since high school, man. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 1974. Yes! I love this film. Oh my god. During a chase scene, one of the actresses actually cut herself pretty badly. So a lot of blood on her body and clothes ended up being her actual blood. Upon release, the film saw consistent walkouts as it was seen as too horrifying. Horror director Guillermo del Toro stated that he became a vegetarian after seeing the film. The film was banned in several countries, and many theaters stopped showings after complaints were made about how violent it was. 2 theaters were actually ordered by police to pull the film, with threat of morality charges. The BBFC banned and refused to give the film a certificate to release it in cinema, making the film liable for seizure until 1999, where it passed uncut in the UK. It was then broadcast 1 year later on Channel 4, the best British broadcasting station in my opinion. Despite the controversy, the film was the highest grossing independent film at the time of its release. It's now regarded as another one of the most influential horror films, and has since had multiple sequels, prequels, and remakes. It has also since been preserved in the US National Film Registry for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. Believe it or not, the film actually had a positive impact, as according to one of the actors, Texas state troopers would shake his hand, thanking the film for crime dropping in the state by 18% after its release, because people just stopped picking up hitchhikers after this film came out. I'm just gonna say, this is one of the best horror films ever made. It's still like disturbing to watch. It's still horrific to watch nowadays. Like just rewatching it now, like the movie still gets to me. It's, oh my god. Like when like the action starts and the violence and the chainsaws start freaking revving, it's non-stop until the credits, man. Like completely non-stop chaos. And the film gives you that really good ookie gookie feeling. Why did I say that out loud? Honestly, I will put this film at the top of the list currently. This film is by far like one of the best horror films ever made, and one of my personal favorites. It's amazing. Like, I highly recommend this film if you are at all a fan of horror films and you haven't seen the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Do yourself a favor and watch this film. It's incredible. The Toolbox Murders, 1978. The film was heavily criticized at the time for its perceived misogynistic victimization, the exploitation of women, and its graphic violence and nudity. The film passed for cinema with cuts in the UK, but was later banned as a video nasty, eventually releasing uncut in 2017. Stephen King considers it one of his favorite horror films of all time, declaring it one of the scariest movies ever made. The film was obviously heavily inspired by the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was directed by Tobe Hooper, who then later went on to direct the 2004 remake. So he basically directed a movie and then later directed its knockoff. As for Stephen King's quote, I wouldn't necessarily say it's like one of the scariest movies ever made. It's pretty decent though. I regard it alongside Maniac, so I'm gonna put it right above it, I think. This movie's really cool. It does have like a lot of different kinds of horror going on in the movie. It's not just a constant like killing someone with like power tools or whatever. It's got some other stuff going in. I don't wanna like spoil it. I've been kind of like avoiding like explaining the films to you guys because you can obviously like look up a synopsis at the very least or watch them for yourself, which like the majority of these movies you could probably skip, but this is one of them that you could probably watch and enjoy. Moving on to the last film, the final film, and saving the best film for last, right? Nope. Violent Shit, 1989. Have you seen Violent Shit? I sure as shit have. Honestly, I literally put this on the list due to the name alone. It doesn't have a lot when it comes to like the controversy part of it. The film never received an official theatrical run, but was released to German underground theaters for fairly successful midnight screenings. However, due to Germany's censorship board, it was inevitably pulled. Although the film attracted a cult audience at the time, often growing into riotous behavior, the film was received poorly due to its amateurish production. And they are damn right to think that. This movie, oh my god, it's up there, or down there rather. It's down there with Slaughtered Vomit Dolls and every other terrible horror film I've ever seen. There are a few like extremely graphic scenes, which is what attracts a lot of people to it. There's this one really crazy scene where like the dude like rips open the belly of a pregnant woman and then crawls inside of it. And I think the woman's like crucified too or something. This film is just a cluster of violence and gore stitched together poorly with a really bad story. One remarkable thing that I can say about this film is during the opening credits, it claims that it was produced by the Violent Shitters. I can't believe Violent Shit was produced by the Violent Shitters. But yeah, this movie was really bad. Was it worse than Slaughtered Vomit Dolls? Jesus Christ, I don't know. Honestly, no, I think Slaughtered Vomit Dolls will be the bottom of the list, and I'm putting Violent Shit right on top of it. These two films were absolutely terrible and like, not in the good way, you know? They're not even so bad they're good that you would want to watch them. They're just terribly made films. So this is it. My final ranking system of all 30 of these films. What did we learn today? Honestly, the main thing that we probably have learned today was that a lot of these films, even though they were condemned and saw as like outrageous for the time that they were presented, in retrospective analysis, these films are regarded more kindly. And nowadays we are so, I don't want to say desensitized, but like there are so many films that exist nowadays that do way worse stuff than some of these films have done. And they didn't receive nearly as much controversy. So it just depicts like the times evolving. Like people should never blame a piece of media or media in general for real life atrocities like murder and stuff. Instead, I think it has something to do with like the individuals. Like obviously like narcissistic, like killer type people would be attracted to some things like this because they depict such certain things like that. But it's not gonna turn anyone into a murderer. That's ridiculous. That's really ridiculous. Another thing I learned is I am exhausted after all of this, and most of these films I don't want to watch again. Like I never want to watch any of these films again. Well, there's some films on these that I would definitely want to watch again. Obviously, like I think Entrails of a Virgin, all of those films I would definitely watch again. The Last House on the Left and I Spit on Your Grave I'd probably watch as well. Cannibal Holocaust, any of the films that depict like explicit animal cruelty, except for I guess Faces of Death, because it kind of presents it in a different way. All of those films I could probably pass on. But anyway, sorry that I rambled a lot during this video. I am very tired and is very unscripted. I've been recording for over 2 hours for this film alone. Holy crap, dude. But I really hope you guys enjoyed my like ravings of these films. And if you did, please leave a like. It really lets me know that you guys liked it. Have you seen any of the films on this list? Let me know down in the comments below. Also, if I missed one of your favorite controversial horror films, I don't know how you can have a favorite like that. I guess I just like listed my favorites. Leave those down in the comments below. Maybe I'll watch them, maybe I won't. I'm sure someone will appreciate you putting that in the comments though, so leave it down there. Well, anyways, I'm really tired, so I'm gonna go now. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Take care of yourselves, have a happy Halloween, and a spooky day. Bye-bye! Oh my god, I think I'm gonna need a lobotomy after this.